want to hear from you, and especially this class, we want to hear from you on every possible dimension. Meetings, design.
We've already discussed what social media is. I don't need to go into that. But social media for a company. Now what? Here's the thing. People talk to each other. We're chatty people. We like to share information. God knows that bad information travels faster than good information. So the conversations are happening. Okay, you're a company, you're a brand, you have a product. People are going to be talking about it. I'm not going to go in on what social media. Okay, actually, I'll go through it quickly. What is social media? It's participatory. But when it comes for companies, it's participatory, but it's a guidepost. It's a way to be able to figure out how is my company doing, because you can check Twitter results and the feed and Google results and everything that's going on. Google Alerts. You can do Google Alerts to be able to find out how your company is doing, or Google your own name and see what your own reputation is, or whatever, or your product or anything, and see what's being said about it. And it's a guidepost and a way to see how you're doing. It's also a way to connect. It's a way for a brand or a company to connect to the individuals who are interested in their product. It's a way for people to connect to each other. And then, of course, there's the notion of influence, which I mentioned earlier this week. So who is it that I listen to in this market? Okay, and what do they have to say about this brand, about this product, about this company? And it's integrated marketing in that you're not just pushing out your message. You're doing a pull message. Talk to me, a user-generated content type of message, which is the best that you can get if you can get that. And so how does it bring you competitive advantage? I think it's a general rule. We all understand that competing on cost is a bad idea. And if you want to be known as a cost leader, you're going to be pushing and pushing and pushing, and your margins are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's not easy to do. There's a few companies that have done it extremely well, and they're the leaders, but there really can only be one, because if you end up getting in this type of match with somebody else in the playing field, then you'll cut down your profits to nothing. So we don't want to compete on cost. What we want to compete on is something else, our core competences and whatever type of advantages that we have. How do we get that message out there? The conversation is happening, as I mentioned before. Information is power. It's not just power for you, it's also power for your customers. They like to have information. So the more information you give them, the more comfortable they feel, the more trust that they have. Even if it's something that's not necessarily good about your product, like how Amazon lets you make all of these different types of comments and prints everything that's both good and bad. So you can go through there, see what the negative comments are, and if that's something that you're willing to live with or not. As long as your expectations are realistic, you're more likely to be happy with the product. If everybody's telling you, it's fantastic, it's amazing, it's this and that, and they build up your expectations to be something totally unrealistic, you're not going to be happy, even if it's exactly what you were looking for, because your expectations were so incredibly high. So by doing all of this, by engaging with your customer and using social media, you build loyalty and you create more realistic expectations. And now we're going to do, I'm going to show you one example of a company that I don't think, in my opinion, is necessarily using social media as social. As you can see here, Gap, okay? They follow only 5 other companies on Twitter. They're all related to the Gap, okay? There's no engagement. All of their, as you can see, all of their posts, there's no messaging, okay? They're not answering anybody. If you write to them, they won't write you back. If you ask them a question, they won't answer. There's no engagement whatsoever. On the other hand, you've got Ford. Now, Ford is actually known for having a few people, Scott Monty and Gwen Peak, tweet for them. But they answer questions. And they engage. And they follow. And they have followers. And they've built a community. And they're also the only ones who didn't ask for money from the U.S. government of the car companies. Okay? They aren't in the same situation that other companies are in because they listen to their customer, they engage, and then they react and do things accordingly. They're paying attention and they care, and it shows, and it's paid off. Seth Godin is a marketing guru. Don't really like the term, but it's what he is, and he writes a blog. So it's marketing. Marketing isn't just putting your name out there, putting the label, putting a billboard, pushing your message. Marketing is when my friend and I are talking about the thing we bought from you that changed us. That's marketing. When people are talking about your company in a positive way, that's the best marketing you could possibly have. And that's what social media is about. Back to Gap, okay? They've had their YouTube accounts since 2006. They've had their YouTube account since 2006. They've had channel views 97,848 from 2006. They do videos of what you were born to do, okay? What were you born to do? Only nobody's watching these videos. They're putting them up. They're not really spreading the message about them, and nobody's watching them. Nobody cares, quite frankly, what these people were born to do. It's not interesting content. It's kind of boring. It's kind of egoistic, self-involved, and doesn't engage at all with anybody else out there. And nobody's responding. And Gap isn't changing their methodology of social media and how they're engaging with the customer in response to this, which blows my mind. Maybe they will in the future, but so far everything that they've done has been about let us push our message to you instead of letting you give us your opinion and have us have a conversation. And the thing is that people want to have the conversation. On the Facebook, wait a second. Hold on. There we go. Okay, it's in the wrong page. I'm going to go down to this one. Hot for Words. Here's somebody who's actually doing it properly. Now, this may not be the best example, but Hot for Words, she is a philologist, okay, and she talks about words. And she has incredible numbers, okay? The video that I took from her page the other day, 2 days, 30,000 views. Okay? There were 4,000 views of the video from Gap, and it was up there for a year. 4,000 views? 2 days, 30,000. She asks questions of her viewers. She asks them to send in words. I will send in questions. She engages with her followers, and she gets a response. Now, she is her own brand. But the fact of the matter is, what companies need to do, what products need to do, is look at who is doing this realm properly, and how can we apply that to how it's suitable for our situation. So what should Gap, what do you think Gap should do? How would you want to get into the t-shirt business? What would you do? How would you end up pulling people in?
I'd show them my designs and ask them, what do you think about it? Do you buy it? What do you think should change? What do you think is great about it?
Or maybe a contest?
Yeah.
On do this for us, and the person wins and they get this much and this, and you end up getting lots of input from your potential base. Or maybe you'll create a product for this, and the person who sells the most gets this. Then they end up selling the product that you create through their own methods, and then you have other people marketing for you.
For a startup, is that a good idea for a startup or for an establishment?
I think it could be a good idea for any company, depending on how they want to go into the market and how they want to engage with their customer. These are just different ideas. The point is that you have to actually look for those ideas.
I think Dell Studio already did that.
Yeah.
They told you to design the cover of the laptop,
right.
And the name is there on the
Dell has done a couple of things. Dell has done actually quite a lot of things. in the social, and it's really helping.